morning, everyone, from a very gray and rainy-ish day in Brooklyn. Andrew had to leave really early this morning. He's going to another gaming convention thing, and my manager is in town, so we're gonna go to get brunch this morning. I'm really looking forward to it. We're just going to a place in my neighborhood actually called Giovanni's Brooklyn Eats. It's an Italian restaurant, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm wearing an entirely handmade wardrobe today. I have a wrap top that I've made out of silk organza. And this is actually made from a dress pattern. It's a Vogue pattern. I'll put it in the description box if you're interested in making it, but it's actually a dress that I just added this little peplum detail to. And then the rest is the Persephone pants by Anna Allen Clothing. I swear I'm gonna change my shoes before I leave. Afternoon. I am just now leaving, hanging out with my friends Megan and her friend Stacy, who is just, I've never met Stacy before and I loved her, so I'm so excited to meet new friends. And yeah, it was great. We had a brunch over at a place called Giovanni's Brooklyn Eats, and good food and good conversation, so it was, yeah, it was fantastic. So I'm headed back now to my apartment and I'm gonna hang out there until Emily comes over later today. I'm not sure what I'll get up to. I'm thinking about potentially sewing on a top that I'm working on right now. Maybe watching some Gardener's World. I don't know, it's gonna be a more chill day for sure. Right now, I've decided to stop off at my other garden. This is the garden that I've had a space to garden in for probably November since before the pandemic. So November of 2019 is how long I've been gardening here. There's not a whole lot going on right now because it's cold weather, but I'm definitely not giving up this space. I'm taking this one and my new garden because I have a plant wish list like a mile long, but I thought I would show you kind of what's going on right now. Like, as you can see, there are some snapdragons even that are still blooming right now. It's insane. And there are so many buds on my roses, and it is December. So many buds on the roses. So really exciting. Everything's looking great. I have a trellis that usually goes up and over that direction, up and over there for my tomatoes. I think next year I'm gonna start decreasing my emphasis on gardening vegetables, only because I want to stop, it sounds terrible, but I want to stop tempting animals to come back here, because, you know, like, it's a residential area in the city, and inviting things like mice and rats and raccoons and stuff like that, like, they're only going to want to go inside to the warmer spots, so I really don't want to encourage them in these spots. So I'm going to try to stop planting as much food things, and also because I just love growing flowers. So I'm going to be growing a lot more flowers and roses in this area. I love English roses, especially David Austin roses. I really fell in love with those last year, and perennials in general. That's why I planted this arch to have this climbing rose over the arch, and there's another climbing rose over there. So yeah, I really, really love this space. I can't believe how well it's done, and just a tribute to a lot of research and obsession with gardening. this back bed right here. So here's the kind of scheme. Over there is more of like a cottage garden style bed, and then this right here is where I have a lot of things like dahlias and sun-loving plants, because this gets the best sunlight over here. This is where tomatoes were. These are tomatoes from the season before. I'm letting them decompose. And then over here I planted in it's a more shaded area, or shade tolerant kind of bed. So I've planted radishes all over here. And then this is some arugula and some spinach right here for the cold weather months. So I have a lot of radishes growing right now that are ready for picking now and throughout the season. So I can just kind of gather those whenever I want. And then that over there is some arugula and lettuce, and like I said, some spinach. So everything is growing so slowly because it's colder weather right now, and that's fine. That's a leftover pepper plant right there. I'm surprised it's still hanging on, honestly, because peppers love warm weather, very, very hot weather, but it seems to be doing okay, so I just left it there. And then all of this is self-seeded foxgloves. I planted a few foxgloves, but they've all self-seeded everywhere, which I'm so excited about because it's one of my favorite early summer plants. So what I'm thinking about doing is transplanting a few of these, because there's so many, but transplanting a few of them to my new garden. I have some seeds already going in the greenhouse, but foxgloves are a biennial. Some of them, the new F1 hybrids, some of them will flower in their first year, but the other ones are biennials, which means they flower every other year. So these have kind of already been going for a few years. So I would love to transplant some of these into the new garden. So it means they'll flower earlier than the other seeds I've started. All of these roses and rosebuds in December. This is a gift to the universe. All right, after checking on my old garden, now I'm in the new garden, and it looks like nothing has been disturbed, which is good. So all of this is protecting from the squirrels. So I'm gonna go in the greenhouse and check on my seedlings. I can see all of the condensation on my seedlings that are in there, so that's very exciting. It means things are happening. Let's check on it. Sweet peas are looking amazing. Honestly, I do not have nearly enough right now. I need to sow a lot more seedlings, but I didn't want to waste all of the sweet peas that I had, because I didn't know if it was going to work to try to germinate them in the cold temperatures, but clearly the sweet peas are fine. They're some of the most cold hardy plants, so if you want to try to germinate some sweet peas in colder temperatures, I'm sure you'll be fine. Let's see what else we've got. Look at all of these signs of life. Some of them are starting to get their true leaves. Look at that, true leaves, so exciting. Most of this is foxgloves on the side, and then over here we have got some Amumagus and some Dara. But yeah, all this is foxgloves over here, so this is very exciting. Look at that, same thing. So we can see how the seed has exploded for germination, but everything germinates so slowly when it's cold out. It's been like that for like a week now, so that's okay. Everything is super slow when it's got colder weather, but it does make for hardier, stockier, stronger plants. So I'll be very interested to compare these to whatever I sow in spring to see how they fare better against the weather and during their growing season. I cannot wait. Andrew is supposed to build me some potting tables in here for Christmas, and I cannot wait for that. Instead of me like hunching over everything on the floor, crouched down, it's gonna be so nice to have my potting tables. So I cannot wait to have those, but everything is looking really good. I'm gonna leave the tops off for now to kind of let some air flow into here to get them some fresh air. And then maybe I will plant the remaining bulbs into this section here, which is the last area that I have not planted my bulbs in yet. Surprisingly, I thought I was gonna have more than enough for here and for my other garden, but it turns out I have like nothing left for my other garden, which is shocking. I thought I was ordering a lot. Apparently I was not, which just gives me an excuse to order more stuff for next year. But yeah, I'm gonna prioritize this garden just because the other garden already has so much in it, and I have plenty of roses coming for next year anyway, so the other garden will be fine. But yeah, I really like to prioritize getting this garden planted up and lots of interest, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it in spring. I cannot wait. But yeah, all my bulbs are going to be going in here. Those are the last ones, and then after that I just have alliums. So I planted all of my daffodils and my tulips. I have to plant my alliums, and I also got some early flowering irises, Iris reticulata, which are known to bloom very early in the season, like one of the first flowering things. They're like very small irises. The brick, all of the brick is like one of my favorite parts about this garden. I feel like it gives it such a charm and established feel, and like even though it's small, the brick just makes it feel so welcoming and almost like a walled garden. So I love this. It's like this, it's the side of this garage that's right here, which is not our garage. It is part of our building, but the garage is rented out to somebody else. So it's not a garage that we actively use, but I love this walled part of the garage that it's done in brick because it makes it feel like a walled garden in here. And I could not be happier with how this winding path turned out. I think it is absolutely perfect for the space. One thing that I'm thinking about right now is that I really want to name this garden and the other garden so that I can more easily distinguish between those two of them instead of calling them old garden and new garden, because that's kind of boring. Also, I feel like giving something a name gives more of like a seriousness to it, and like I work really hard in these spaces and do a lot to try to transform them, so I want it to be something that, like, you know, really emphasizes and conveys the seriousness of which I take the planting of these gardens. So for this one, I'm considering names like, my top contenders right now are the art garden or the Van Gogh garden, because a lot of the plantings that I have planned for it are inspired by art combinations, especially Van Gogh. Also Black House, just because the greenhouse I painted it black, so calling it the Black House Garden. Prospect Garden, because it's so close to Prospect Park, but I don't know if that's like too generic. Yeah, so I just like have some names that I'm, you know, tossing around. One of my good friends told me I should call it Salem's Lot, which I just think is really funny, but it's also like a little too jokey for, not that I want it to be hyper serious, but I just don't want it to be a joke. My mom came up with a really good idea for the other garden, and her idea was to call it the Arbor Garden, because there are the two main features of that garden are the trellis that Andrew and I built for the tomatoes, and also the archway for the roses, that both of them are arbors. So just calling it the Arbor Garden because that's like a very identifying feature of the garden. So I think I might call the other one the Arbor Garden, but it just also feels so weird because I've been calling it the garden for so long over there that calling it the Arbor Garden seems strange. So I don't know. This is a long ramble for something that's maybe not so serious, but to me it is, just because I spend so much time thinking about and planning and working in these two gardens that I just want a name that reflects the work that I put into it. So if you have any suggestions for this garden or the other one, please leave them in the comments below. I would be happy to hear your ideas. Hello, it's just about 5 o'clock and I am heating up our dinner leftovers that we made last night. I'm gonna eat those, and then Emily should be coming over not too long from now, I think, after she gets off work. So I'm gonna eat the leftovers, and I'm gonna also watch the latest season of Selling Sunset, because Andrew hates that stuff and I love trash TV. So what better opportunity? Emily's here.
Hi.
So for those of you who don't know, this is Emily, aka, what's your Instagram and YouTube channel?
Peterson. My YouTube channel is Slow Fashion Rebel.
Slow Fashion Rebel YouTube.
I'm thinking about going back to Slow Fashion Rebel for Instagram too.
Interesting. Yes, you were telling me about that. Emily's working on a cross stitch right now. It's pretty epic, if I do say so.
Should I hold it up like this?
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Oh, Jafar. So Emily's working on this cross stitch. I am working on the toe of the first sock that I'm working on, and we're watching Great British Bake Off, the holiday edition. Good morning. So 3 very exciting things that happened yesterday. The most exciting one, you know when you lose your favorite notions pouch and you cannot find it for weeks and weeks and have no clue where you put it? I found it, finally. It was in my backpack this whole time. A weird place for me to put it, honestly, but I'm so glad to have finally found it because it's my favorite one and has all of my favorite notions in it. So found that. And then I also finished the first sock of these socks that I'm knitting for Andrew. I just think these turned out so cute. I love it. So I need to cast on the second one. And then yesterday 2 books arrived as well. So I'll show you the last 2 books that I have ordered from my kind of like gardening books, thrift books haul. One sec, let me get them. Okay, the first one is this book called Down the Garden Path by Beverly Nichols. This book is actually pretty expensive on thrift books. Like it's usually anywhere between $35 and $50 for one book. And I think the reason is because it's out of print. So there's not a lot of them in circulation, at least around like the US. So it's out of print, and it's also just like a classic. So I don't know, but I'm really excited to read this book. Again, that's called Down the Garden Path by Beverly Nichols. Mika is trying to say hello. And then the last one that I ordered in this thrift books, gardening books kind of order that I've been showing you as they come in is this book called Cool Flowers, How to Grow and Enjoy Long Blooming Hardy Annual Flowers Using Cool Weather Techniques by Lisa Mason Ziegler. I'm not sure if this book is going to be like particularly useful. I'm excited to like read it and see. New York City is not really positioned in a super cold zone. We're actually 7B. It's because we're, you know, in a city, we're on the water. Climate change, of course, and like urban heat effect kind of affects the zone that we are in. So we don't get super, super cold here. Like our winters are cold, but they don't last a super long time like they do in other like cities and towns close to this part of the country. So I'm not sure if this book is really going to be necessary or useful, but I figured I might give it a go to kind of diversify the flowers that I have in our cold season. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to like grow more because of that, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like why I got it, to see if I could extend the growing season a little bit more, but I haven't obviously read it, so I'm not sure yet, but it looks interesting, so I got it.
I'm annoying.
Oh, you're cute. Good morning. I am extremely hangry right now, and we're going to get brunch at Giovanni's Brooklyn Eats again. Yes, you may recall.
I missed out yesterday.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I need to be shown the light.
Exactly. So I'm taking Andrew, because it was my first time yesterday, to this neighborhood gym. We've eaten there for dinner before, but not for their brunch. So
I went to lunch menu too.
yeah, their food is really good, I think, as long as you eat it there.
Yeah, it's okay takeout.
No takeout from Giovanni's. So we're going to Giovanni's Brooklyn Eats. We've invited his sister and her husband. It's going to be a lovely brunch. not vlogged at all today, hardly, except we went to brunch and then we came back home and took naps all day long today. I've just been feeling so tired, and you were gone all day yesterday for your epic tournament. So sorry about that, guys. I really just haven't been doing anything interesting today. Some days you just need I don't know, some days off for rest. Yes, a me day. So right now we are headed to the grocery store. We made our meal plan, which I'll share with you when we get back. And we're headed to the grocery to do the shopping for the week. I'm excited about the recipes that we have on the docket. So I'll check in with you in a little bit. We are back from Le Gros with all of our grocery bags in tow to put away. So this week we are making, let's see, I'll start with my lunch. For my lunch, I'm gonna do avocado toast again because that was just really delicious. That Bluestone Lane recipe, amazing. For tomorrow and Tuesday, we're gonna do a boeuf bourguignon with a salad and some egg noodles underneath it. Not under the salad, under the boeuf bourguignon. And then Wednesday, it's a very French week apparently. Wednesday and Thursday we're doing a poulet au vinaigre, which is basically this like vinegar chicken recipe. It's really, really good. One of my favorites with rice in a salad. And then Friday we're gonna do a spaghetti with meatballs. Tonight we're just keeping it simple. We're gonna make a tomato soup and some BLTs for dinner. But like fancifying them, I'm gonna make an aioli with avocado, mayo, dill, some other spices to put on it. And yeah, it's gonna be very low key, nothing too extravagant.